This one bathroom habit makes older women smell bad. The words sound alarming when first heard, yet they point towards something far more subtle than shame or neglect. What unfolds here is not a story about being unclean. It is a story about awareness. It is about how small, repeated actions, done with good intentions, can slowly move the body out of balance when understanding is missing. The realization came to Dr. Sarah Chen in a quiet moment during a routine home health visit. She stepped into her patient's bathroom, not expecting anything unusual, yet immediately sensed something was wrong. The air carried a heaviness, thick and damp, with a faint sourness that lingered beyond what simple odors usually leave behind. It clung to fabric, to surfaces, almost to the skin itself. This was not a surface issue, it was systemic. Her patient, Linda, was 73 years old. She was well-dressed, courteous, mentally sharp, and appeared outwardly healthy. There was no sign of neglect, no sign of disregard for herself. Yet within minutes, Dr. Chen understood that Linda was unknowingly creating an environment where bacteria could thrive, not because she failed to care for herself, but because she followed habits she believed were correct. These habits were ordinary, common, almost invisible, and there were 6 of them. They quietly dismantled the body's natural defenses and contributed to persistent odor in older women, regardless of how often they bathed or what fragrances they used. Modern dermatological research now shows that over 82% of senior women experience a noticeable change in personal scent after menopause. Most never understand why. The explanation is not dirt, it is chemistry. As Dr. Chen aptly explains, most older women do not develop odor because they are unclean. They develop odor because the skin's protective barrier is stripped away day after day by habits meant to promote cleanliness. The body loses its ability to regulate itself. This understanding reframes the entire conversation. This one bathroom habit makes older women smell bad. The words sound alarming when first heard, yet they point towards something far more subtle than shame or neglect. What unfolds here is not a story about being unclean. It is a story about awareness. It is about how small, repeated actions, done with good intentions, can slowly move the body out of balance when understanding is missing. The realization came to Dr. Sarah Chen in a quiet moment during a routine home health visit. She stepped into her patient's bathroom, not expecting anything unusual, yet immediately sensed something was wrong. The air carried a heaviness, thick and damp, with a faint sourness that lingered beyond what simple odors usually leave behind. It clung to fabric, to surfaces, almost to the skin itself. This was not a surface issue, it was systemic. Her patient, Linda, was 73 years old. She was well-dressed, courteous, mentally sharp, and appeared outwardly healthy. There was no sign of neglect, no sign of disregard for herself. Yet within minutes, Dr. Chen understood that Linda was unknowingly creating an environment where bacteria could thrive, not because she failed to care for herself, but because she followed habits she believed were correct. These habits were ordinary, common, almost invisible, and there were 6 of them. They quietly dismantled the body's natural defenses and contributed to persistent odor in older women, regardless of how often they bathed or what fragrances they used. Modern dermatological research now shows that over 82% of senior women experience a noticeable change in personal scent after menopause. Most never understand why. The explanation is not dirt, it is chemistry. As Dr. Chen aptly explains, most older women do not develop odor because they are unclean. They develop odor because the skin's protective barrier is stripped away day after day by habits meant to promote cleanliness. The body loses its ability to regulate itself. This understanding reframes the entire conversation. The goal is no longer to scrub harder or mask more aggressively. The goal is to restore harmony. These 6 bathroom habits are not obvious enemies, they are quiet disruptors, and among them, one stands out as particularly damaging. But awareness must be built step by step, so we begin not at the top, but at the foundation. Habit number 6 is not changing washcloths and towels frequently enough. The washcloth hanging by the sink looks harmless, soft, clean enough, yet studies show it often carries more bacteria than a toilet seat. Many senior women use the same washcloth for 3 to 7 days without realizing what is accumulating within its fibers. As the body ages, the skin sheds cells more rapidly while producing less natural oil. Those shed cells become food. Warmth and moisture provide shelter. Bacteria multiply quickly in this environment. Each time the same washcloth is reused, yesterday's bacteria are not removed. They are redistributed and encouraged to grow. Microorganisms can double every 20 minutes. By the 3rd day, a single square inch of fabric may carry millions of bacteria. For aging skin, whose pH has already shifted, this creates an open invitation for odor-producing bacteria to flourish. These organisms release volatile compounds that produce the musty, sour scent often blamed on age itself. But age is not the cause. Overgrowth is. The solution is simple but disciplined. Use a fresh washcloth every day. Launder washcloths in hot water with white vinegar added to break down bacterial residue. Towels should be used no more than 3 times and must dry completely between uses. Dampness is not neutral, it is an incubator. Even antimicrobial fabrics cannot replace daily change. Tools are helpful, but awareness must lead. While this habit sets the stage, the next habit deepens the imbalance. Habit number 5 is using heavily scented products to mask natural body odor. The shelves of pharmacies are lined with fragrances promising freshness, floral soaps, powder deodorants, lavender washes, yet research reveals a quiet contradiction. These products often make odor worse. The skin is home to thousands of bacterial species living in balance. Artificial fragrances and harsh chemicals do not discriminate. They destroy beneficial bacteria along with harmful ones. When protective bacteria are removed, odor-producing species move in unchecked. After menopause, declining estrogen already destabilizes the skin's microbiome. Adding synthetic fragrance creates a double disruption. Certain bacteria, the same ones responsible for pungent food odor, begin to dominate. Fragrance does not eliminate odor, it masks it briefly while feeding the imbalance underneath. Some fragrance compounds actually serve as nutrients for odor-producing bacteria, accelerating their growth. This creates a cycle. More smell leads to more product leads to more imbalance. The body is not given space to recover. When women shift to fragrance-free, pH-balanced cleansers formulated for mature skin, the microbiome begins to rebalance. Studies show significant odor reduction within weeks. The skin remembers how to protect itself when interference is removed. Support rather than suppression is the path forward. Yet even this disruption remains surface level compared to what comes next. Habit number 3 is improper wiping technique and inadequate cleaning. Many women discover late in life that the technique they have used for decades is incomplete. Reduced flexibility, arthritis, and vision changes make thorough cleaning more difficult. Residue remains unseen. Standard toilet paper does not remove all bacteria. Even with the correct direction, significant residue can remain, especially when mobility is limited. Within hours, bacteria multiply, producing compounds that create persistent odor. Skin folds and changes in body composition create hidden zones where bacteria thrive undetected. These areas cannot be reached through hurried wiping. The solution is not force, but completeness. Initial cleaning with paper, gentle cleansing with fragrance-free moistened wipes, drying thoroughly afterward. Moisture invites growth. Assistive tools and bidet attachments support independence and thoroughness. The principle remains simple. Clean fully, dry completely, move patiently. Each step restores balance rather than disturbing it. But even these practices are overshadowed by what follows. Habit number 2 is wearing the same underwear too long or choosing the wrong materials. Within hours, underwear becomes a living surface. Bacteria multiply rapidly, especially in low-oxygen, moisture-trapping fabrics. Synthetic materials trap heat and moisture, turning underwear into a breeding environment. Minor bladder leakage, common after 60, the solution requires renewal. Breathable fabrics, more frequent changes, proper laundering, allowing the body to dry fully, especially overnight. Air is not the enemy. Air is cleansing. Yet all of these habits combined still do not match the impact of the final one, and this is where awareness must become gentleness. Habit number 1 is overwashing and using harsh soaps on the genital area. This habit is driven by the fear of odor, yet it creates the strongest and most persistent odors of all. Aggressive washings strip away the acid mantle and beneficial bacteria that naturally protect the body. Soap alters pH. Pathogens flourish. Protective species vanish. The vagina is self-regulating. When interfered with repeatedly, it loses its defenses. Over time, bacterial communities embed themselves deeply, becoming resistant to cleansing. The harder one washes, the worse the imbalance becomes. True cleanliness here is restraint. Warm water, external cleansing only, minimal intervention, allowing the body systems to recover their intelligence. Drying fully afterward matters as much as washing itself. These habits, though small individually, together create a storm. But storms pass when understanding changes behavior. The body is not asking to be controlled, it is asking to be supported. And when support replaces force, balance returns. This is the quiet truth that sits beneath everything you have just heard. The body is not failing, it is responding. Each reaction, each odor, each discomfort is a message, not a judgment, but a signal. When harsh soaps are removed, when overwashing stops, when warm water alone is allowed to flow gently over external skin, something subtle begins to happen. The body remembers itself. The protective bacteria slowly return. The acid mantle rebuilds. What was stripped away begins patiently to come back into place. Research shows that senior women who reduce washing frequency and eliminate soaps experience a measurable shift in their microbiome within days. The bacteria that produce sharp, sulfur-like odor lose their dominance. The environment becomes less hospitable to them, not because they were attacked, but because they were no longer being fed. This is an important distinction. Harmful bacteria thrive in chaos. They flourish when the natural order is disrupted. When the system is calm and stable, they struggle to survive. Overwashing creates stress, and stressed bacteria behave differently. They produce stronger odors as a survival mechanism. This is why the smell intensifies the more aggressively one tries to eliminate it. It is not stubbornness, it is biology. Every gynecologist involved in this research agrees on the same guidance. Wash the external genital area once daily. Use warm water. Use your hand, not a washcloth. Cloth creates friction. Friction creates microdamage. Microdamage invites colonization. If a cleanser is absolutely necessary, it must be gentle, pH appropriate, and used sparingly. No fragrances, no sulfates, no antibacterial agents. These words on labels often signal harm, not help. The vagina itself should never be washed internally. No douching, no rinses, no internal products. These practices remove what little protection remains after menopause and open the door to persistent imbalance. After washing, drying is essential. Moisture left behind creates the conditions bacteria love most. Pat gently with a clean towel. If needed, cool air can help ensure dryness. This is not indulgence, it is precision. Taken together, these 6 bathroom habits form a pattern. None of them are dramatic. None of them are done with harmful intent. Most are done in the belief that they are beneficial. Yet the body does not respond to intention, it responds to action. Using the same washcloth repeatedly introduces bacteria daily. Heavy fragrances dismantle microbial balance. Prolonged toilet sitting damages tissue and invites migration. Improper wiping leaves residue that multiplies unseen. Synthetic underwear traps heat and moisture. Overwashing strips away the last natural defenses. Each habit alone nudges the system slightly out of alignment. Together, they create an environment where odor becomes persistent and difficult to reverse. The encouraging truth is that reversal is possible. When these habits are adjusted, the body responds quickly. Bacterial populations shift. Skin chemistry stabilizes. Odor decreases without masking. Confidence returns without force. The goal is not to become cleaner, it is to become more aligned. Cleanliness, in its truest sense, is not about elimination, it is about harmony. The body has always known how to regulate itself. It only needs the space to do so. This understanding carries a deeper lesson. Aging does not require aggression, it requires listening. As the body changes, the strategies must change with it. What worked at 30 may harm at 70. There is wisdom in adapting, strength in restraint, power in gentleness. When hygiene becomes supportive rather than corrective, dignity is preserved, comfort improves. The quiet anxiety that often surrounds aging softens. Odor in this context is not a personal failure, it is a physiological response to imbalance, and imbalance can be corrected. Small changes matter. Changing a washcloth daily, choosing unscented products, standing up sooner, wiping patiently and completely, letting skin breathe, washing less, not more. These are not drastic measures, they are mindful ones. Within weeks, many women notice a difference not only in scent, but also in comfort. Irritation decreases, dryness improves, sensitivity lessens. The body feels calmer. This calm is not accidental, it is the result of cooperation. The body is not something to fight, it is something to work with. When you stop trying to overpower it and begin to understand it, the relationship changes. What once felt embarrassing becomes manageable. What felt mysterious becomes logical. What felt permanent becomes temporary. The bathroom, often treated as a place of urgency and routine, becomes a place of awareness. Each action becomes intentional. Each habit becomes an opportunity to support balance. And balance, once restored, sustains itself. These changes do not require perfection, they require consistency, a gentle, steady application of understanding. The body does not need to be forced into submission, it needs conditions that allow it to thrive. When those conditions are met, the results follow naturally. This is why no perfume, spray, or air freshener can truly solve the problem. They operate on the surface. The solution lives deeper. By addressing the root causes rather than masking the symptoms, the system recalibrates. This is not about fear, it is about empowerment. Knowledge replaces worry, awareness replaces shame, practice replaces struggle, and in that shift, confidence returns quietly, without announcement. If this understanding has brought clarity, if it has helped reframe something that once felt confusing or frustrating, then it has served its purpose. Remember, the path forward is not about doing more, it is about doing differently. Work with your body, respect its intelligence, allow it the space to restore itself. When you do, freshness is no longer something you chase, it is something that naturally returns.